Well, a bit of culture there, isn't it? That's the
Yes.
Hotham Hall Light Orchestra playing our national anthem. I do hope everybody was saluting, and that was it. Dob, dob, dob.
Dib, 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 dob, dob, dob. I hope you were all stood up.
Actually, it was the Portsmouth Symphonia playing
Oh.
there. What beautiful piece of culture, isn't it? Marvellous music.
Moved me. It moved
I know,
me.
it gets a tear to you. Apparently cures constipation, that does as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
But the people were playing the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order. That was the thing.
Yeah,
That's
a bit like Eric Morecambe.
That's right. Well, tonight we got a super duper show. Now you'll notice there's somebody missing. It's John Hamer, the best-selling author, and he's finishing his book.
Yes.
And they're running behind schedule, and he's got a very tight schedule to beat to get the book published. It's going to be a super duper book. When it's done, it will. And he's working with Shannon on it because Shannon is in America. Yeah. And he said he had problems because a lot of American terms, the English don't understand, and a lot of English terms, the Americans don't understand. He said he didn't realise how many different terms, even though she's lived over in Ireland for a couple of years, are very different. So he's working hard tonight. So good luck, John, with your book.
Thinking of you.
That's right. Be published soon. And tonight we've got a fascinating show, an interesting show. Yes. And it's we're going to be. So I've got to refer to my notes later on. I'm going to look at the link between the CIA and people that may have heard of the Congress for Cultural Freedom, set up in 1950. And not only that, the links between the hippies and Andy Warhol. Yes, whose marvellous paintings. I think there's a good advert for Specsavers, because I think if you go there and you go bleeding Specsavers, fine, get your eyesight fixed.
Yeah,
I can say that now. But first of all, I think Deb's going to. I think you're going to talk about. I thought he was going to talk about what's his name, Tony Blair, because you're going to talk about the shadow people, aren't you?
Shadow people, yeah.
Sherry Blair.
Shadowy
Look in chat first. We'll go on to the shadow people.
Yes.
Why not? Here we go. Blimey. We got a lot in chat tonight. We got the Knowles. We got Deborah Singleton. Who's she?
I don't know who she is. No idea. Just ignore her. She'll talk filth.
Kim, evening, everyone. Hello, Kim.
Hey,
yes,
Kim.
That's a lady that's into homeopathic stuff and the Bach flower recipe.
Oh, yes.
Oh, very interesting, that is. And we've got the Lulls boat. I know this isn't the usual place, isn't it? Oh, well, never mind. But I feel I need to tell someone, maybe Deborah Hatswell. Oh, that's about you had a crazy experience on the boat a few nights ago on the canal just outside where?
Burscough.
Is that where you are, or is that north of Watford?
It must be. I have heard of it, but I won't be able to tell you where it is.
And then we've got here Joe Weeks. Hello, evening campers.
Hey, Joe.
Hello. Nice to speak to you. Oh, hello. We've got Ralph.
Ralphie.
And, evening, folks. Oh, what a marvellous compliment. Looking lovely tonight, Debs, as usual. You too. No, it takes me a long time to make myself as beautiful.
It does, yeah.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all good. Oh, yeah, we're chopping at the bit tonight. Ralph Winter, evening, Chris and Debs. And we've got a lot. And we've got his Sean Hamer, nothing to do with John Hamer. Here we go. Hello, Sean. And then we've got
Bob from Rugby.
Hi from the independent state of Rugby.
Yes.
That's interesting, isn't it? Cool, blimey. That's a rival to fuck them all, isn't it?
Yeah.
We got Bunglebert Humperdunk. Bonjour, the sunny Scotland. Bonjour.
Okay, the new.
Hey,
I know a bit of Scottish.
Okay, the new.
Okay, the new.
And then we've got evening guys from Barry Wickings.
Barry.
We've got Rick Allen.
My mate from Scotland. Rick?
We've got a lot of Scottish viewers, and we've got people in America, and and the independent state of Rugby, and Yorkshire as well.
Oh yes. And Fockham Hall.
And Fockham Hall, yes. Evening, lovely people. That's Jackie Eardley.
Eardley.
Hello.
Hi, Jackie.
Greetings. So we're going to talk about the. Hang on, we've forgotten old. What have we got here? Blank Wall. Hi all. Now we got Love's Boat telling you about his freaky experience. So here we go, mate. My boat was rocked side to side with. Are you sure this is for a family viewing? With banging all over. And footsteps on the roof, then two red shining up. Oh, blimey. Eyes like embers. Look
through my window so bright, shone through the curtain. Ooh.
Blimey.
Ooh. That's made me go all goosebumpy.
I mean, was this on a lonely canal, sort of miles from anywhere? Lols? You know, that is a bit freaky.
It is a little bit.
Yes. And we got Blank Wall. I've just enjoyed a Manchester tart. We won't go into that.
That's my least.
There's a friend
my
of
least favourite pub, that.
I never had a Manchester tart.
Maybe you need to travel a bit more.
David Jenkins. We know who David Jenkins is, don't we?
We do.
On the Rob sounds like a new sitcom. You don't know it yet, but you're coming back in a couple of weeks, aren't you?
There you are, yeah.
You're going to show off your heater that's got a higher temperature now. So
yes.
There we go. And
we need to see that.
That's right. We all need to see that. But that, that was, hang on.
Lulsboat, West Lancashire.
Oh, that's where it is. Canal in West Lancashire.
Oh, it might be an idea to get in touch with Deb Atwell then, because that's her area.
That's a Deb Atwell type thing. It really is. That is.
Just see if there's anywhere else around there that she's had reports from, or even look on the map online. The BBR map might be something on there.
But those eyes, things like that. That actually, this sounds a bit like Spring Hill Jack. They said
burning eyes.
Yes, because they said that when he was around, and he's made a reoccurrence, so he's come back again.
Yeah.
Keep us posted on that, mate. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it does.
What's this? Blank Wall from Sayers. Are you really? Well, we all have our problems.
Can get tablets and cream from the homeopath.
That's a good idea. I think my granny had that. Hang on. We got Blank Wall. My boat weighs 20 ton, and it's 58 foot long. It's hard to rock.
Ooh. So it's something very heavy then.
Well, it couldn't have been a pussycat, could it? I mean, let's put it that way. So
no.
It puts,
have to be one chunky cat.
What's that? Sounds like my ex-wife. They've got here. I shit myself. I bet you did. I think I would.
Yeah. I think I would have done too. I certainly wouldn't be moving around the boat to get to the bog.
That's right. And let's put it this way. Politely, it would be, you had a laundry problem.
Yes. An imminent laundry problem.
That's right. Yes. Yes, I've had a laundry problem before.
I think everybody has, really. It's just you don't like to admit it.
Anyway, you was going to talk about the shadow people, which is something I'm interested, fascinated in, and know very little about. So I'm going to be educated tonight.
Well, a lot of people report the hat man, which is a kind of shadow person. It's obviously a shadow person with a kind of hat, but they're always reported as being jet black, the outline of a person jet black, and they can just suddenly appear, or you can wake up in the night and there's one stood there, or they're reported all over the world. Some people see them more than others. Some people just have like a one-off sighting, but nobody seems to kind of know where they come from. But when we lived in Bradford, for a year before we found the house that we wanted to buy. And the way it was set, it was a big end terrace house, and the stairs were up the middle, and the one landing went round to the left to 2 bedrooms. The other landing went round to the master bedroom and then the bathroom. Of course, Gaz goes to work early. He goes to bed early. So I'm used to creeping about in the dark. So I've gone upstairs, gone to the loo, and I got off the loo and I opened the bathroom door. And just as I opened it, I thought, oh, I didn't hang my dressing gown up behind the door. But as I pulled the door open, there was this same height as me, jet black outline of a man, a bald man. So it was just like like Morph from Tony Hart.
Yeah.
If you imagine that, like jet black, like Vander Black, the blackest black. And he was just stood there, and I went, oh, sorry, and I shut the door. And then I thought, what the bloody hell am I doing? And I pulled the door back open, and it had gone. But it was just stood there. I hadn't been thinking about anything like that. Not really picked up much in the house. Anything weird going on in the house. In fact, that was one of the least active houses I've lived in. No idea. But I did come up with a bit of a theory.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been talking to Andy from Code to the Unknown one morning on the phone, and I was telling him about this thing that I've got going on at the moment, where when I'm reading on a night, there's a ring of like LED lights above me. I can only see them in my peripheral vision. I can't look at them. If I look at them, they disappear. They move about around me, but it's almost like it's a circle. But the other week it was a teardrop shape. And this has been happening for months now. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. And at first, because of the way I lay and read my Kindle, and I have the Kindle on nightshade so it doesn't affect my eyes. And I thought, I wonder if it is some sort of anomaly between the light and my eyes and something bouncing off. Anyway, one particular night I was laid and the light was at the side of me. I couldn't look at it again, but I could see it in my peripheral vision. And my arm was out of the bed and my shoulder started to get cold. And as I pulled the quilt up, I blocked it out. And I thought, if that was my eyes, I wouldn't be able to block that light out. So it's obviously something that's, I don't know, monitoring me or whatever. Anyway, I was telling Andy about it, and then we got on about shadow people. And after I'd finished talking to him, I thought, I wonder if some remote viewers could appear as shadow people. You know, they can do remote viewing to like...
It's a point, isn't it? I've never thought of that.
And I thought, I wonder if they could appear as shadow people to some people. You know, people that weren't doing remote viewing or whatever.
Now, that is an interesting point, because I know that the CIA, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, invested heavily in remote viewing. Yeah. And apparently, who's that? Like Yuri Geller, who could burn spoons. No, but we won't go into that. He was supposed to have been employed by the CIA, allegedly. Oh, I don't know about that. But I know they did do remote viewing, and they used it a lot during the Cold War.
Yeah.
That is a very interesting point, because have you ever been aware of a presence that you think there's something here, I'm not alone today, you know, and I'm and the weirdest thing that ever happened with the spookiest thing, I mean, there's lots of spooky things that happen, but I don't really want to go into this very deeply, but I think my mother was something, shall we say, got into her, an entity got into her,
right,
because she was two personalities, and I won't go on that. And it was the two extremes: extremely kind, extremely awful,
evil.
And I didn't really want to say it, but you know what I mean. But the thing is, I do believe that entities do get into people. I am absolutely positive. There's a shadow of doubt that they do, and I think one's got into my sister as well. But what happened soon after my mother died, it was been a couple of days, I had a shaving mirror. It's only about that size, and it was propped up, and I had it for some unknown reason. I don't shave in the kitchen. I'm not like that. I do it in the bathroom. But what happened, and my father witnessed it as well, because he was disabled at that stage and he was sitting down. And you know those cooker sockets where you plug the cooker into?
Yeah.
They're big. They're about that deep. About 2 inches deep, and you had this a small shaving mirror that was propped up on the wall, and this cooker socket had been painted several times, so it was a matte type surface, so it wasn't slipped at all. And we were sitting there, and suddenly the mirror came off there, went bash, and smashed itself face down onto the table.
Wow.
Now, if it had just slid off and gone down, I mean, the cooker thing was about that height from the table. That's the cooker panel. it would have smashed with its face up, not
Up, yeah.
face down. So that really freaked both of us out. And my father was very much a skeptic on these things, you know, although he did study numerology and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think because the generation he was from, he used to say, "Oh well, you know," but he was interested, I think, in these type of things, but didn't want to admit it. But that's the freakiest thing. And my sister and brother-in-law, they used to live at a place called Royston in
Yes.
Hertfordshire. Have you ever been there at all?
No, I've not been, but I've heard of it.
Well, it's a really, I liked it actually, but they didn't. They moved elsewhere. But it's a crossroads between two Roman roads. And one road went to Cambridge, which was the Great North Road. And then you had another one that went across to where they do the races, Newmarket.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a strange place because you knew when you went from Hertfordshire to Cambridgeshire, because Hertfordshire is quite hilly at that area, and then you went straight onto the fens. There was no sort of like intermediate. You went down a hill and then it was flat from there on.
There.
Cambridge, and I can't stay in flat country. Well,
no.
Apparently the Romans used to bury their dead at crossroads.
Yes.
And they was convinced. Now their house was built in 1969, and it was one of these modern chalet type houses, you know, with the sort of with the bedrooms like a sort of dormer window type thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And very weird things went on there, and they left. They did. I didn't think they had much luck there. They didn't like it very much, but I liked the area, and things like the airing cupboard would open, and suddenly all the stuff that's in the airing cupboard would just throw itself out.
Right.
And you'd have things come off of walls for no apparent reason. Things will go missing and then appear a couple of days later. So I think my sister had some silver threepenny bits, old ones, you know, the old look like sixpences, and they completely disappeared off her dressing table. And then about 3 days later, they reappeared again.
Yeah.
And they kept really spooky things went on, and it was as if something didn't want them to be there. Well, eventually they moved, but it was really, I didn't witness anything particularly weird, but there was like a sucker on the wall that they used to hang their tails on, you know, sucker hook things.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law, it got so fed up with it coming off the wall, he araldited the bloody thing on. It still came off.
That bloody concrete is araldite.
There's something that chipped it off. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Also, you could pull the screw out, you know, which is just the hook. Lots of very strange things, but that mirror is the most creepiest thing. Well, along with meeting myself one day, but I've said it so many times, I think people would know it off by heart. They could tell me about it now.
Yeah.
So I won't go on about that. And you have to see it on a previous program. But that is a very creepy thing that goes on. But that's interesting about shadow people. That really is. But because Colin, one of the researchers on here, he sometimes comes on. He lived in a haunted house where when they took photographs, there's lights in the windows. And it wasn't a flashlight because it's during a summer's day. And there was things moving around inside the house.
Oh.
But let's have a look in chat, shall we? Anything interesting there, Deb? Let's have a quick look.
Yeah. There's a lot of chat about Lulzboat's sighting.
Yes. Where are we? Oh, hang on.
Rick made a comment about shadow people. Shadow lives matter.
Shadow lives matter.
To the shadow people.
Do you reckon we better let on to him that he's going to come on in a week or two's time? No, I won't tell him. Let it be a surprise.
He'll be surprised.
Andy. And then we got Paul Green. Mentioned it before at school, saw a shadow figure behind a boy at school day after his dad found him.
Oh. That's just giving me the creeps as well.
That is creepy, isn't it? So, have you seen those photographs on now? The thing is with YouTube, they can be photo edited, but there is a famous one in 1919 of a ship's crew, and one of the blokes died or was killed a couple of days prior, and there's a big group of them all standing there, and there's that fellow.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yes, that is weird, you know. Now it was asked. Hang on. Rick Allen said, "Do you think it came out of the water?" That's for Lul's boat. And
I would have thought there'd have been like a splashing noise though prior
well,
to. Oh
yes,
right, yes, splashing
it
in
was
the canal.
splashing in the canal like a person walking through it, smashing their hands in the water.
Ooh, scary.
Really weird, doesn't it? You know that
Mm.
is, and it says, yes, it was on the water side, not the towpath.
Mm.
That really is. And we got town crier. Hello, town crier.
Hello.
Oh yay! Oh yay!
Just before we move on, can I ask Lul's boat if anything else has happened while they've been living on the boat like that? Anything similar?
That's a
Just
good point, actually.
pop it in the chat.
Yeah, because if you could, because it might be the location where he is, or it could be the boat. Because
Yeah.
you heard the story of, was it the Great Eastern, I think it was, or the Great Western, one of the two, and it was called a voodoo boat. And what happened is when they went to, now was it the Great Eastern? Somebody'd have to tell me in chat. There's a Great Eastern or the Great Western, but it was the one that went across the Atlantic, laying the telephone cable, so that Queen Victoria could go hello to America, and they could go
Hello back.
And when they scrapped this boat, they found a skeleton within one of the chambers inside. It was of a little boy that they used to use to get down to crevices and that. And he got there, and they didn't know he was there, and they sealed it up. Poor little chap. So he died there. And it's called a voodoo because it was haunted, apparently, that ship. And there's, of course, one of the haunted U-boat during World War II, which is very famous. And it was actually on YouTube. They made a film about it, a small one in the 50s. Was it not the Twilight Zone? It was something. It was before the Twilight Zone. And what happened is this U-boat was going to dive, and they heard a bash, 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 bash on the outside. And they opened up, there's nobody there. And there was a chap on board who was a real nasty piece of work who they didn't like. And this bashing on the outside of the U-boat, apparently it saved a lot of people. And when they broke the U-boat up, they found that there was a skeleton of one of the workers in one of the sort of chambers in there holding a spanner.
Wow.
So, and that's a true story, apparently. I'm
Yeah.
a little bit vague on it because I haven't seen the film for a long time. So, and I'm just going out from memory. So that's quite some sort of, but the shadow people on that. I mean, I actually have had, and I think I was dreaming, something sit on my feet at night. You feel there's a weight there, and you think, what is it? And it goes. I've had things disappear and appear. It could be a pencil, and you look everywhere, and you give up, and about 3 or 4 days later, there it is, right in plain view on the table. And you think, am I going mad?
I have an interesting story about that. When my mum was young, her dad was a copper policeman, and when he retired, he gave me dad and he gave me mum his medals. He had a bank of medals, and he said, "If you ever need any money, sell them." And she said, "I'll never sell them." Anyway, she put them away somewhere safe. And when my mum and dad split up, at that time, I don't know if they still do it now, but my dad had access to the house to get his stuff. So me and my mum used to go every weekend and stop with my grandmother. And my mum was going through some stuff after my dad had taken all his stuff and we were moving, and she couldn't find the police medals anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind, we were in the family home in Leeds and we were moving to Lincolnshire. She couldn't find them anywhere. She accused my dad of taking them. My dad said he hadn't got them, and that was a bit of a back and forth. Anyway, we moved, unpacked everything, still no sign of them. We moved back to Leeds 6 years later, still no sign of them. And we're on about packing everything up like you do for an house move. They were nowhere. And then my mum had said to me, she'd mentioned to me about she'd wanted to pass the police medals on to me, but they'd disappeared.
Yeah.
And then not so long after that, she had a Dutch dresser, the rounded dressers with the she had a Dutch dresser, and the top right-hand drawer she used to keep, she had a tin with tools in it. It was like an old biscuit tin, but it had a hammer and it had the pliers and it had screwdrivers. And she'd gone in, and this drawer was one of those drawers that you put all your bits of rubbish in. You know, like, oh, I've got nowhere to put that, it'll go in that drawer. And she'd gone into the drawer for something, moved a couple of bits. There were the medals. Now she'd unpacked and packed that drawer 2 or 3 times, and they weren't there. So as soon as she found them, she sort of asked me to apologise to my dad because she'd accused him of taking them, and she gave them to me. So we do a remembrance parade every year. We do remembrance service down in Leeds at the cenotaph. So my husband had said to me, "You need to wear your granddad's medals." So I did. I wore them, brought them home. I put them back in the brown paper bag that they were in, put them to one side. They've gone again. They're nowhere to be seen in this house at all.
That is very weird.
Those medals, for some reason, don't want to be here. I don't know what it is.
That is odd. Because there was a house in Cambridge that was similar to that. And I remember all years ago, when I was with my teens, there was a chap who was a faith healer. And he reckons that he was guided by some sort of spirit from years ago. And I wish I could remember his name. I didn't know it was going to come up this situation, but I would have researched. And he was, he is, I suppose, in his 20s or 30s. And he said that this house he lived in Cambridge, which is a very, very creepy and haunted place, Cambridgeshire. And there's a lot of people from Cambridgeshire saying, no, it isn't. But it is. There are some creepy places. That's where I heard all that fairy music, But again, we won't go into that because that was on another show. Yeah. But what happened is things would appear, and they'd appear on the stairs. And he said he found a ring on the stairs from the Middle Ages. And he reckons that this healer was from the Middle Ages, and he was giving him gifts to help him heal people. Right. And he's a very malevolent, very kind spirit that was giving little clues to where he was. And he was a marvellous faith healer, this chap. He used to lay his hands on people. And he said he didn't understand how he healed people, but he believed it was this, he's a very calm person, this spirit that was going through him to help him. And I wish I could remember the chap's name, but I know it's near somewhere in Cambridgeshire, and it was a really haunted sort of house. But some people, though, bring hauntings with them, don't they? They live with them. And I think that's to a certain extent, I don't think it happened with my brother-in-law and sister, but when they moved their house, they moved to a bungalow, and the bungalow, when it was first built in the 1920s, was owned by an elderly couple. Well, I say elderly couple, they weren't elderly when they first moved there, but they lived there and brought a family up there, and they were there for years. And then I think I'm only guessing now, I think when they died, their children sold it to the next owners who were there for a year or two, and then they sold it to my brother-in-law and sister. Right. And my sister, and I've smelt it, old-fashioned cakes being smelt, being cooked, and it was come up really strong. Yeah. And then there would be tobacco, but not modern tobacco, very old tobacco, which was quite a nice smell. And it's it was, and it's wafted in my face when I was there. That's nice, and things like that. Because there are spirit smells, I think, and no dirty word, but you do get spirit smells. Like, for example, I sometimes smell my mother's perfume. Yeah, you say I've always thought that I would, but I never have. Yeah, I've smelled my mum's perfume. That wafts up occasionally, and also when I'm stressed or in trouble, I feel the presence of my dad, because my dad was there for me. So I feel his presence there, and because he was the most calmest person you could ever wish to meet. Very calm person. Yeah, he was. Everything's under control. Don't worry. Yeah. So, right. And that's good. Yeah, but I haven't. I mean, we've all got individual smells about us. The dogs get up, but I've just felt my mother's presence and also my father's presence a lot. I do find, and he comes to me in dreams as well. I'll be dreaming, come to me in a dream. Yeah. So I think there is another side, another world, but there's shadow people. That is because it's big in America. There's a lot of shadow people sightings in there as well.
Yeah, yeah, there is. I don't know. Like I say, sometimes they're seen with a hat, and then sometimes it's just the outline of somebody, but it's a definite outline of a person.
It could
No
be.
clothes or anything. No, like it's just like I say, like morph off Vision Express. I nearly said that. Vision on.
Vision on, yeah. Yeah, Tony Hart.
Yeah.
I liked him. He's good, he was, wasn't he? Now we have this shitty drawing from Tracy,
Veronica, age 5.
Age 5. Yes, that's shit, that is. What is it? Oh, it's Mummy. Right, let's have a look back in here. Right, now what we got here? Lowell's boat said, then got on a roof looking for a way in the just went deadly silent, and I wondered if it was a dream. I very much doubt it, Lowell's boat, because for it to rock side to side like that, those eyes. Because the reason I initially thought it might have been a cat, because you look at a cat's eyes, they can be quite startling at night.
They can, but they don't burn red, do they? I suppose
they don't burn red. But I think it's possibility. What we're interested in is it your boat or is it the location you were in? That's the thing.
Well, I did notice they said about Perchman. Deborah Hatswell's taken reports about Perchman that's been wandering about in that area, which Lowell's boat mentioned. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's interesting, because I think we ought to get Deb on here. But I think Mondays she's booked up, isn't she? Mondays, I don't know.
No, Tuesday. Well, it's every other Tuesday. She does BBR.
Oh, Luz, sounds like it wanted you to hear it before you saw it, building up the fear to a climax, seeing its eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted a reaction.
Because I have noticed Rick's made another comment. Shadow people cause anxiety, fear, and the feeling of being watched. The same response that electromagnetic energy causes in people. But yes.
Do you know, it seems to be
that's the theory. That's the theory that he came up with for my sighting back in '93 of that, whatever it was, stood at the side of the road, because I felt the fear 7 miles before I saw it. So,
well, this is the thing. You see, with fear, if you've had a situation where you've been in fear for a long time, this is a problem that I've got. You become like an old gramophone record that gets stuck in a groove.
Yeah.
So you apply fear to the most mundane things, you know, like I'm walking down the road. Oh, suppose I'll slip and twist my ankle. Oh,
what if somebody jumps out on me?
And and it's good. Years ago, fear protected us, but it then goes over the top and gets absolutely stupid. And I sometimes laugh.
Yes, you're obsessed by it.
Because you get obsessed because it's your subconscious playing nasty tricks with you. And, you know, and I've always made a joke, and this is a joke, you know, when Dutch elm disease first came out, I thought I had it because my hair was falling out. I thought, bloody hell. But no, it's only trees could get that, you know. But now we got here, we got, was it Blank Wall, YT channel, You Thinking Aloud.
I need to write that down.
As interviews with remote viewers. Good channel. Yes, because I've seen very old film from the Soviet Union. It must have been the 60s, 50s. Crackly film of a woman that was, she used her mind. She was over, what was it now? There's a mixed, something in water, I think it was, and she separated the two sides of this. I think there's colours or something in waters, and she could do it by her mind. Now, some people say it's a hoax. I don't know, but the Soviets were doing remote viewing as well as the Americans.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. And they reckon they use remote viewing. Was it in 1980 when Jimmy Carter? No, hang on. Jimmy Carter was before 1980. Do you know when? I think they did a rescue attempt of the American hostages in Iran, and it all went tits up and went wrong.
Yeah.
But they used remote viewers to locate people in the desert who managed.
I downloaded a book because I thought I'd like to learn how to do that, and it's so complicated. It's not just a matter of sitting and emptying your mind. It's you've things you have to do, and it is so complicated. It's like, oh no, I can't get my head around that.
It's a bit like a trance medium. Now, a trance
Yeah.
medium, there's lots of mediums that are fake, and unfortunately, they always get the fraudsters, and
Yeah.
they make it bad for the genuine ones.
Genuine ones, yeah.
Bit like, what was it, that program? Is that Dick? Most haunted. I used to watch that for a laugh.
I know, yeah. That was
I think
just
it's big knocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
I can hear Big Willie through the wall.
And also, you always used to have a term when it was getting a bit boring. Nothing was going, so go, whoa.
Oh, what, did you hear that stone then?
Do you hear that with the bleeding television that was going on?
Yeah.
There's obviously a technician there. They go. I mean, how could you do a program? I mean, I think it was Colin, if he's on tonight, he was saying that, I mean, he's a paranormal investigator. And he said, most of the time you go there, nothing happens. How can I make a program about it? You know?
Exactly, yeah.
But when it does happen, bloody hell, it's usually when you least expect it, you know.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
also, it was a grotesque sight, just a glowing eye so bright it permeated my curtain. What the fuck? Well,
yeah.
are you sure it wasn't a local politician coming round canvassing?
Yeah. Or car dealership asking if you to extend your warranty.
Hey, hang on, it could have been someone that had the old. Could have been the effect. It could be.
Yeah.
You don't rule out these things. It's all right, mate. We're not taking the piss. Right.
No,
It says it, my bungalow is a paranormal hotspot. Lots of bangs, strange sounds. Well, in my house, often I'm getting off to sleep and suddenly get boom, crash. And what that is as the house is cooling down, structural movements and things like that. And if you live in a timber frame house, then you get even more cracks and bangs because timber dries out and it moves, and that's what you get. Now it says here, but I'm sorry, I'm not ruling that out. Yes, bungalows, because it depends. Are you near a crossroads or something like that, or an ancient crossroads? Because again, that's where the Romans buried their dead. So, so there we go. God knows what kind of face those eyes belong to. Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Look it up. See where he's up there on a boat. It could be.
Dave had a theory for that somewhere. I lost it now.
Where is it?
Scrolling up. No.
Hang on. We got where he is. He says, if anyone, bloody hell, you're going to get a great troop of people up there now.
Yeah.
Are you sure you would have put this on here? If anyone fancies a look around the place, it's
about a quarter of a mile past the Farmer's Arms in Burscough on the canal.
Is that near the Queen's Legs pub? I think.
Yeah. Always open.
They're open every time. No, that's
There we go. I found David's comment. I reckon the figure that came out of the canal with the glowing eyes was Sir Edward Heath. That wouldn't surprise me.
Well, what a surprise. You heard about what he got up to on Morning Cloud, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Little boys being thrown overboard and all that.
With his little friend, Jimmy Savile.
Yes, he's great friends with him. And who's that big fat git from...
Cyril Smith.
Cyril Smith. He was famous for hang gliding, wasn't he, or something?
Well, imagine that crashing out of the sky. No.
But, yes, that's strange. But now, hang on a minute. Something here Rick Allen has said. Has anything else strange happened, lols? Often these things come in twos or threes.
Yeah.
And we got here, good evening, folks. I'm late again. Lines, afraid Aunt Sally. Sorry about that, you know. And hand them in at miles when you go there. I guess I will be getting a good spanking. Oh, oh yes. Right. There we got here. What we got? We got conversations between people themselves, and we got here. We got Ancient Ruby. Hello, Ancient Ruby. Now we got here a very now this is an interesting one, was it? I think it was a water elemental, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when my wife was 16, she had a green imp type figure sit on her chest.
Ew.
Because you heard what John Hamer said the other week, that his friend was taking a video film and didn't notice it at the time. When it comes back, there's this like little figure, like a fairy, that flew off.
Yeah. I think he sent me that. I think he sent me that video a long time ago.
Yes, that's weird. Now it says here, this is Shanty Om. Cats sleep on my feet at night. Well, it ain't got fleas.
Our Bob never does that. He sleeps on me in an afternoon, but he won't sleep on me at night.
Ah, Nessie, lols. Perhaps it was Nessie.
Yeah.
Now you never know.
That's back in the news again, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, is it? Is it really?
Yeah. I saw it popped up on my news thing the other day. Somebody's
they were watching our program last week.
A what?
They were watching our program last week. That's what's done it.
That's it. Yeah.
You're sorry, you're saying I've chomped across you. Very rude.
I think it was they've done some sort of depth charge and found this massive shape deep down in Loch Ness, just randomly.
You were.
But I'm keeping my eye on that. I want to know the outcome.
We're going to do, this reminds me, because John Richardson out in Siam, where's Siam? We'll look it up on Wikipedia. Yes. He actually has written a lot about Loch Ness Monster, which we're going to do on a future show. Yes. Because I think we got to do a lot more research into it. And I think it's true what he said, but John is fantastic, but it's not his subject. And John Hamer I'm talking about, not John Richardson. And I think that a future show with Deborah Hatswell, yourself, maybe Colin, myself, would be interesting, because the reason Colin is he is into cryptozoology, and his father, who was in the Merchant Navy during the war, saw an incredible, huge creature, whatever it was. Now, in the Merchant Navy, you know the difference between whales, dolphins, sharks, things like that. You're seeing it all day. So he knew what he was looking at. So that is something to think about. And also be looking at other creatures from other areas around the world. For instance, the one in Canada, and there's one in Sweden, is there? So there's lots of strange.
Every place has got their own.
Yes, it's weird, and it's true what I was about to say. I think Hatswell has told of a similar creature called Perchman. And he says it was the Perchman. Yeah, that is it. But why did he come to visit you? See, this is the thing I'm intrigued with. Is it your boat that's attracted him, or is it your area where you are?
Were there any more boats around you, or should I say, are there any more boats around you?
Yeah.
Or are you kind of like on your own?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That is a very interesting one. But that's fascinating. David Jacobs. I remember a single-decker bash crashed in Huddersfield and over 200 people put whiplash claims in. It was only a 35-seater, so the rest must have been shadow people.
You're so funny.
Well, that's the type of thing that would happen in a country that we're not allowed to criticise, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly.
I like that one. So does Kim. She likes that one as well. There we go.
Yeah.
And hang on, we've got a good thing. Remember to thumbs up the vid, guys. Chris, isn't that kind? And also Deb. It wouldn't be a good show without Deb. But
it would.
Thumbs up, even if you're on BitChute, because this goes out on BitChute on Tuesday, the day after. So if you're watching this on BitChute, we were on yesterday.
Boot shit, whichever you want to call it.
So thumbs up and ring the old ding the bell and subscribe, because it's free to subscribe.
Yeah,
people think it's absolutely costs nothing, and I'm all free. So there you go, because I'm a tight-fisted git. We got Cat Holdsworth, hello. Just doing my lines for being late. Excellent.
Hand them in at the end when you've done.
That's right. You hand them in to Aunt Sally and she'll bring them along to Miles's shop. So I don't know about you. Do you feel an advert coming
a couple of adverts coming up, yeah.
Yes. And what should we do first? Well, I told Miles, because I went to see him a week, that I'd do an advert for him. And of course, we got the other one. But shall we have the royal one first? Where are we?
Yes. Go on.
I've lost where it is. Where is it?
It'll be in there somewhere.
Here it is.
Hello. Are you partial to something a little different? Do you like to give the two-finger salute to mainstream media? Then look no further than Fockham Hall Radio. With its charming mix of information and lots of archive footage, it really is a treat for the senses. You will surely exclaim, well, butter my crumpets, when you peruse all that Fockham Hall has to offer. So, just pop along, quick sticks, to www.fockhamhallradio.com. You'll be assured of a super spiffing time, and as we like to say, Fockham Hall.
An opinion can only be formed by looking at the evidence. Nowadays, information is overwhelmingly corrupted by corporate and agenda interests that often relies upon mass ignorance to survive. John Hamer is a best-selling author who cuts through the jungle of lies to bring you thoroughly researched information. His books are obtainable from his website, allthews.falsificationofhistory.co.uk, or Amazon, or if you wish to contact him, he can be contacted on jch120752@gmail.com. Thank you. There it is. So
there it is.
And can you remind me? I've got to do an advert for Miles because I said I'd do one for him.
Yes.
Because he's shop. You know, he sells very nice vitamins and things like that. And we're going to get him back on soon. He's keen to come back on another show, and he's going to be a regular on here. So, and also, just a quick reminder, on the 20th of April at 11 o'clock in the morning, I'll be doing a recorded show with Dave and Dawn, who I've got to say this in code because this is on YouTube.
Yes.
What really makes you Tom and Dick?
Tom and Dick.
Yes, and of course we can't do this on YouTube for obvious reasons, but I'm hoping to do it live. It'll be recorded for BitChute.
Yeah,
and we're going to talk about the program the week after. But I'm hoping to do it live on either Facebook or Telegram or both. So at the same time. So ooh. Right. So shall we go back and we're still on about shadow? Talk a little bit more about shadow people. And
I've said all I've got to say, really.
Well, it says here David Jacobs said that 2.5 million shadow people voted for Biden.
I think you might be right, Dave. Definitely.
They're the shadow people.
Yeah.
That's voted for that's a new one. And I'll tell you something. Town Crier, if you haven't fallen off to sleep yet, it's still here, Town Crier. He might, because he's a big leading authority of Cedars Park, which around the British English Civil War time,
right,
had history to it, and I wonder whether that's haunted at all. You know, so
probably.
You know, and she says here, my daughter didn't like it and asked the spirit to stop, and she never. This is blank wall. Never was bothered again. That's right. Yes. Do you remember that girl? She sung a tune, "Save Me, Don't Sugar Me." What was her name? I can't think of her name.
Oh,
she was famous in the 70s.
Yes.
She croaked it. Ooh,
Lena Zavarone.
No, there's another one.
The other one.
I was actually in a record. I felt a bit sorry for her when she was at the top of her fame. She was in a record shop down in London. And I walked in and I was playing her tune. I didn't like it very much. And I was looking through some records. I looked up, and there she was behind the record, and there's no one there to see her. I felt a bit sorry for her.
Oh.
So she looked at me. I said, "Do you recognise me?" And I looked at her. I must say, "No, I don't really."
Yeah.
I'm being exceptionally shy. I just walked out a bit sheepish. But what she moved into a haunted house, and what happened is something was rocking her bed, and she just tasked it to go away.
Yeah.
It just went. And sometimes, if you ask politely, just tell it to go away, it will go away. Not always.
When that happened to me just before Christmas, I'd gone to stay with my mate, and at just after 3 o'clock, I think it was, I woke up and I thought, I need a wee. So like you sort of lay there half awake and half asleep, and I felt this weight on my legs. And then the weight started, it was like a full-grown man crawling up from the bottom of the bed onto my legs, crawling up me. And I was like, I'm not having this. And I kicked. And whatever it was, I kicked it really hard in the chest. I never heard a thump or anything, but it was enough to get it to go away. But I didn't get a chance to say, please leave me alone. I just did the first thing that came into my head and kicked it.
Well, let's face it, we don't know where we go when we're asleep.
No.
This is the thing, we're off somewhere. But
you see, I knew at that point that I was awake because I didn't, with stopping at my mate's, I was using my phone as my clock. So I had to open my phone, switch my phone on to see the time. So I knew I was awake and I was like, oh, I need to go for a wee. And then it just started happening and I thought, oh, no, I'm not having this. So actually I kicked it and then went back to sleep. So I didn't even go to the loo. Kicked it, turned over and went back to sleep.
There are cursed objects and weird things. For example, look at, well, a perfect example is the number plate of, who's that chap who was killed at the beginning of the First World War, which was supposed to have triggered the First World War off.
Oh.
King Ferdinand, was it?
Franz Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at his limousine, the number plate is 1111 1918.
Mm-hmm.
And he was supposed to have been shot by a Serbian student, I believe. But the strange thing is that the route he was due to take, he didn't take. His driver took a different route, and it just worked out right. The Serbian student was there at the right time, at the right place. Or Franz Ferdinand, the wrong place at the wrong time. But that is a very strange thing. And there are some freaky objects, like there's certain things that my parents bought this. I won't say what it is, but it was like a toy that children had years ago.
Right.
It put nothing but bad luck into the house, and they got rid of it. And there's certain things you bring in that bring bad luck into the house. You get rid of it, and you get certain feelings about certain objects. I found. Mm-hmm. You think, well, I mean, for example, I've said this several times. I went to Shaw's Corner once. Now, Shaw's Corner is in Hertfordshire, and I did think I've changed my mind now, but at that time I thought George Bernard Shaw was a very nice playwright, was a nice bloke sort of thing. And when I went there, it freaked me out. I couldn't wait to get out of the house. There's something nasty there, something evil, very unpleasant there. And I've actually had this with buildings. Now, for example, I've actually worked in a Grade 2 listed property down a cellar, all on my own, nobody there, which is hundreds of years old. It didn't freak me out at all.
Yeah.
It just sort of perfectly okay because it had a good feel, right? Good vibes about it. Other places I couldn't do it. Now, I used to work in a Grade 2 listed manor house that had been converted into offices. And I've said this on a previous program, but it's a long time ago. And I actually was working away one night. I used to work overtime there because when you're a freelance bloke, you work all the hours that you can. And there was a central corridor and all the offices sort of leading off from the central corridor. And it was the most beautiful place to work. It didn't bother me working there. There are other people around, but it was such a big building that when you do overtime, we were few and far between. And the part of the building I was in, I was on my own, you see. And I was drawing away, on the old drawing board, and out the corner of my eye, I saw a little boy in a Victorian or Edwardian gear. You know what I mean, with the breeches.
Yeah.
And he's standing there, sort of looking at me. And I thought that it was one of the architect's sons that were going to a fancy dress or something. So I turned round in a nice way. I said, oh, hello, like this. And suddenly disappeared.
Yeah.
I looked up the corridor, and there's no one there. And I was the only one in that part of the building. And I told the what Americans call him janitor, the bloke who cleans out the labs and that. And he said, oh, that's old. He mentioned the name. He said, yes. He said, it was a children's hospital years ago. It's very sad. And apparently it was in the Edwardian times, it was a children's hospital. Then it became a main sort of hospital during the First World War. Then it went sort of a bit derelict. And then these architects bought it in the early 70s and did it up. But the thing is, he said, I often see him. He said, but he always disappears. He said, he's no harm. He said, he's just fascinated. He said, and he smiles. He said, you look at him, and you look back again, he's gone.
Yeah.
He said he's fascinated. Often, he said, when I'm working here, he said, he'd be there looking at me. He said, he's just fascinated to see you there. He said, and I said, I wasn't freaked out by it at all. I just sort of, I thought, he's having a nice spirit, and, but there was
it's obviously somewhere that he liked being, possibly.
Yeah. Well, my school, it was next door to my school was what we called the BO factory, British Oxygen Factory.
Right.
Yeah, it's the BO factory, British Oxygen. They made, I don't know, gas cylinders and God knows what. Well, in the First World War, it was within range of aircraft, German aircraft, were in bombed. I didn't know that. Well, there was apparently a German airman that used to walk around the corridors, and my school was built in the 60s. Yeah. And the cleaners and that used to often see this German airman in, First World War uniform, looking a bit lost, sort of as if he's sort of completely lost. And he said, just sort of walk through walls, but it was on the first floor and second floor, which was a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, I suppose his aircraft crashed, or it could have been a Zeppelin. There was no Zeppelins shot down the area where I was at school. There's one shot down over London, and it drifted over to where I live now. It drifted a long way because we're quite a way outside London, and crashed at Cuffley.
I don't like Zeppelins. They freak me out.
Well, Zeppelins, yes.
Right. Do you want to know the results of your poll so far?
Yes, please. Okay.
The poll is, was education better in Victorian times? Yes, we have 73%. No, we have 27%.
Now, that's an interesting one because I think the Victorians and the Edwardians had a far superior education, even though it was strict, than we've got now. All right, we've got the internet and things like that, but it's very strictly controlled in schools. But this is what sort of brings me on to the main theme and the main picture of tonight's show. Now, everybody's probably thinking, what does Gee-Nom-Eee mean? Any guesses? Gee-Nom-Eee. So anybody in chat, what is Gee-Nom-Eee? Think about it. I said this to a group of people the other day, and someone got it within about 30 seconds. Gee-Nom-Eee. Gee-Nom-Eee. See, I like code words. So well, no. I'll let everybody out their misery, shall I? It's Gee-Nom-Eee gnome. Now, why is it gnome? Well, this goes back to World War II, because my dad had a radio set on his back, and in those days they had to make a call, to other units. But they had a call sign, and they knew the Germans were listening in. Yeah. Now, on another unit, he found out after the war, their call sign was waterfall, and the reason why is Germans couldn't pronounce the V properly, so we tried to break in. It's okay, waterfall. They quickly changed frequencies or whatever. Anyway, they were looking for a three-syllable word that they could use that would be unique, and he was in the intelligence section, and most of the blokes, some of them had been at university, they're quite bright. One bloke said gnome. Went, what the bloody hell, 3-cylinder word? He said no, Gee-Nom-Eee.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, they go along, Gee-Nom-Eee, 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 Gee-Nom-Eee. Later on, they captured this senior German chap, and he said, "Please put us out of our misery." He said, "Why is that?" He said, "They've had the best code breakers in Berlin looking at this. They can't work it out. What does Gee-Nom-Eee mean?" And when they said no, he couldn't stop laughing. They all Rob with laughter, and he said, "Oh no!" But Gee-Nom-Eee, Gee-Nom-Eee. But going back to sort of code words, what is in a word? Like, for example, spelling. We do a spell, don't we?
Yes.
And there's all these words that we use that we don't realise what they mean.
Yeah,
Now,
one came up the other day. I can't remember what it was now, and I thought, how did that originate? But I can't remember what the word was.
well, the other one is raised to the ground. How can you raise something to the ground? It was raised to the ground. And the other one, why does shipment go by car and cargo go by ship?
Yes.
See, weird things like that. But what I'm going to mention now is something that's people don't particularly realise, that something weird happened in the 1960s. Why did that weird thing happen in the 1960s? And people thought it was a great liberation, a bit like women's liberation, which wasn't a liberation at all. It's all the opposite to what you think it is. Now, hippie movement, peace and love, very nice. When I was younger, I thought, oh, that sounds all nice. You know, I want to be a hippie. I had hair then, you know. And when I was at school, kids would have bells around their neck, which they got out of their budgie cage because they want to be a hippie. Ding, 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 ding. So poor Budgie went without a bleeding bell because he got
just a mirror to look in.
And things like that. So let's go back in time. Now, first of all, remember that in the 1930s, the Soviet Union had completely infiltrated American CIA. People don't realise that, but they'd completely subverted it. Okay, and then the CIA. When you think about the 60s, you've got abstract art, all freaky stuff, the hippie movement, which was against the Vietnam War, psychedelic, drugs, everything like that. Now, if you want to destroy a society, what do? You destroy it from within. That's ideological subversion. But there was, in 1950, the Congress for Cultural Freedom. Now, has anybody ever heard of that? The Congress for Cultural Freedom formed in 1950. And it was formed by the CIA, who completely denied it all the time, that they didn't fund it, but they did. And it was kind of folded up in 1979, but it mutated into something else. But when I looked up the records, it doesn't tell you what it mutated into. So it's probably something else. But Julian Huxley and Bertrand Russell were running this. They were big hits in it. And most of these leading artists were, and the CIA funded festivals and that. And guess who? Warhol. And they had prizes, public performances, and all these freaky artists. Now, I don't think Andy Warhol was an artist. I mean, when I studied, when I was at college, the lecturer gave up with 6 of us because I don't get freaky art, abstract art. It doesn't form in my mind. And he said, "I'm sorry, just give up." He said, "He said because you just can't." He said, "You're too logical for it." I said, "Well, what is it? You know?" And he said, "But it's art. It's what you feel it is." I said, "We might as well go and piss up the wall." You know, I mean, what's that? Yeah. Say, "Oh gosh, it's a feeling. It's a relief painting." You know, and now you've got, when you look, what it was the country subverting itself. That's what the CIA were doing, because whilst the Soviet Union were doing all these pretty pictures and performing arts and things like that, what was America and the West doing? They was doing art where they're splashing paint up the wall and puking and all that kind of thing. You had Andy Warhol, that was about as artistic in my view, and I know probably a load of people in chat will disagree with me. It was about as artistic as a bleeding ant. Well, I think an ant's more artistic than him. Tin cans and things like that. Why was it these freaky people have been pushed to the front, and the hippie movement was really KGB by the CIA going against itself? And I don't know if everybody's seen that film Men That Stare at Goats. It's about psychological warfare, and it's freaky. It is really freaky what the CIA looked into. Hypnotizing the enemy and things like this, all these really weird things. And you think where we are today now, Vietnam was a sustainable war that was not meant to be won. It was there to cull the youth of both countries, the communist side and also the Western side. And Nixon put his foot in it by bringing it to an end, and that's why he paid heavily for it with the Watergate crisis. But again, when you look at what the CIA were up to and are up to, you might as well say it's the KGB because they've been infiltrated. So there's a hippie movement that was trying to feminize people. And what's happened, we've got this freak show that started in the 60s. And now we've got the dropouts of that time, as Yuri Brezhnev will call them, half-baked intellectuals. Their children and their children's children are now in positions of power. They're in the civil service. They're in politics. They are running the shop. Well, not really. It's the usury scammers that are running the shop. But remember, the usury scammers, they are the other generations that's come along. And this is like Pandora's box. It's been opened and we can't close it. And as I've said time and time again, if we drew a line in the sand and said, right, we're going to stop all this freaky stuff like this rights, that rights, and God knows, teaching children the most freakiest things, it would take 2 generations at least to fully stop it, because they're so brainwashed. Because when you look at things that are just falling to bits, not working, even the tax system, some poor sod I was looking on YouTube, he'd actually had a nervous breakdown because the Inland Revenue were fining him, and it wasn't his mistake. And they made a mistake. It took 6 months for them to admit they'd made a mistake, and at that time he was admitted to a psychiatric ward because they were sending bills for thousands of pounds. And he was totally innocent. He'd never done anything wrong. And apparently it's happening all over the place, all over the country. So what kind of people are running these shows? And really, if you look into it, this Congress for Cultural Freedom, something I found out about, CIA, and also the major UFO organizations, the CIA funded them. Now, isn't that interesting? Why would they fund major UFO organizations? And the heads of them were CIA. So again, KGB, all muddled up. But also in the 60s, they had free expression schools. Now, free expression schools all comes from Dr. Spock, who published a book, that's right, in 1946, and it was a bestseller. And then you had, from that, you had freaky people that were having ideas of how to bring up children, and one of them was to not tell a child when they're doing wrong. And my sister, she, I think it was many years ago, she sold something, and where my brother-in-law worked, they he sold it to somebody he knew where he was, and they came along I can't remember what it was, it might have been a chair or something, I just don't know. They came along to pick it up, and this chap and his wife and their son, who they had read, they're all very posh, and they'd read up all these freaky books and that. And this kid went mad, and he started climbing up the curtains with my sister, and pulled all the curtain track down. Then he went into a kitchen and pulled all the drawers out, and all the cutlery was going everywhere. And the woman was going, oh, don't worry, we'll pay for any damage. And she thought it was a huge joke. Whereas when I was a kid, I didn't even look at my mum the wrong way. Bash, take that, you bastard. You know? was a bit over the top, and it was a bit over the top in the Victorian times as well. But
Yeah.
something happened in the 60s, and where I lived, there was a school teacher that taught. I can't remember. He was a deputy head in North London, and he said that I think it was mid-60s. They went on the school holidays, and he said when the next term started, the children were completely different, and it almost gave him a nervous breakdown. He said where he had control over a class, the next class were completely unruly. He'd never, because he started being a teacher after World War II, he'd never come against anything like it in his life. And the teachers, a lot of them, were in like a state of shock because they'd never come against children that were so unruly. And he said it was like a term thing.
Yeah.
And the Labour Party at that time had changed the law.
Right.
I tried to find out what that law was changed. Now, later on, when I started work, there was a technical clerk in an office where I worked, and he was an ex-teacher, and he said exactly the same as what this other teacher had said. He said something happened in the mid-60s. He said, no, I had to get out of it. He said, I just had enough. He said, and he was an old boy. I think he was past retirement when he was doing this job part-time as a technical clerk to earn a bit of pin money. But he said he'd never come against anything like it. He said the parents just became totally different. He said it was like living in a different world from one term to the next. And I wonder if anybody else heard that at all. And that's what we're going to open up more about, this sort of subversion on a future show.
Yeah.
So, so have you ever noticed anything like that, Deb? I mean, when I was at school, the kids were bloody unruly. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, they were when I was at school, but no.
But we did get whack from the teacher if you were a bit unruly.
Yeah, I was got it on the bridge of the nose by a board rubber because somebody was talking behind me, and they thought I was talking.
I got the same. I got like
a
bash, and then I never got the cane, but I was sent outside. And what had happened, if you'd sent outside, there was a teacher patrolling the corridors, and if you saw you staying outside, you want to know the reason why. Then you'd master, and you'd be punished.
Yeah.
So, you know what I did? Where all the coats were hanging up on the coat line, I got in between the coats, and he didn't see me. Fast, and then he walked back the other way. I was hiding, and somebody left a bag there, so I put a bag around that, and I sort of hid.
Yeah.
So I didn't get punished. But
that was fun.
I was a timid little kid, and I can't remember what I was sent out for. Just can't remember, but I wasn't really an unruly child at all. I mean, I was too bleeding timid. But a lot of the kids were very unruly. But there's something happened in the 60s where we think it was all a liberation and peace and love, but it wasn't. It was all social conditioning, and it's all to do with the KGB infiltrating the CIA. So people don't realise that, and there's been lots on it. Yes, and I was actually listening to someone called what was her name now? Frances Stoner Saunders, and she was talking about this, about how the CIA set up this cultural thing, which people thought had nothing to do with them, but it was everything to do with it. So what else is the CIA behind? Because I had a good friend, she ran a UFO group, and there was a chap in a car, official looking bloke, who was sitting watching her every move for a couple of days, and eventually she went over to him, and this was outside her house.
Yeah.
She went over to him and said, "Oh, are you from the government? You spying on me?" The bloke just started the engine and drove off.
Yeah.
So she, yes. Anyway, let's go into chat, shall we? And what we got here, we've got New Thinking Aloud with Jeffrey Mishlov. Yes, good channel.
Oh, I've written that down.
Hang on, I'll put it back again. You're going to write that down. So
Jeffrey, no, I've written it down.
Okay, and we've got here Russell Targ has a documentary about remote viewing called Third Eye Spies.
I've written that down as well.
Oh, hang on. I think he croaked it, hasn't he, recently, Derek Acora?
Yeah, last couple of years, yeah.
yeah, was comedy gold. He was, wasn't he? He was
Especially caught him
absolutely.
out.
I mean, it was. But it was always, something's got bollocks.
I'm getting something.
I'm getting vibes. And another one, he said, I think that this is a classic. They went to this place. He said, I think there's a woman that was hung from those stairs. Yes, yes, I can feel it. Well, if you looked it up on bleeding Wikipedia, someone was hung from the stairs.
Yeah.
But actually, there are places that are noted, like Pluckley in Kent is supposed to be the most
Yeah.
haunted place in Britain, and that's where hang on, Darling Buds of May was filmed.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. And then we got and did you know that Dad's Army was supposed to be in Kent, but it was filmed in Norfolk?
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at it and think that doesn't look like Kent.
Yeah.
But watching the TV news are the men who stare at gits. Show neighbour.
Totally.
Right. Agreed, Chris. Far too many fakes out there. Did you know that remote viewing viewers are natural to clairvoyant mediums?
Yeah.
Well, there was a woman who was. Now, again, I'm going into memory now. I haven't looked this up before the show, naughty me. And what was her name now? The last woman to be jailed for witchcraft under the Witchcraft Act. I can't think of her name. I thought of it on Sunday when I was talking about it. And she actually, there was a ship that was sunk, and she was speaking to the people that had lost their lives in a seance.
Yeah.
And police went in and they arrested her. Now, Churchill is the most evil specimen ever, but there's only one good thing he did, and that is he blew his top when she was arrested under the Witchcraft Act and said, release that woman immediately and repealed the Witchcraft Act. So it's about the only blatant thing he did that was good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I suppose Mussolini made the trains run on time, but no. But what happened is, not Olive Stokes, no, gone, and she was killed in 1956 when she was in a deep trance. And if you, and the police came in to raid her house and killed her because if you startle someone that's in a deep trance medium, then it kills.
Shock.
Yeah. But you know, it's isn't it terrible when you can't think of names? I'm at that age now. I've have a senior moment, and I remember on Sunday I was talking about it to people, and it just came straight out. You know. Anyway, it'll come later.
Elizabeth, somebody.
Hang on, I'll have to look this up.
I can't remember.
Last woman.
Kim says Victoria Duncan.
To be
Ancient Ruby said Duncan as well.
Helen Duncan. That's the
Helen
one.
Duncan.
That's Helen Duncan. That was it. Thanks, Ancient
Not
Ruby.
Elizabeth, anybody.
No, it's Helen Duncan. Very interesting woman. Very, very. Because she actually spilt the beans about a ship because there was there was a sort of an order not to print anything about it, about a ship that had been lost, and she knew all about it because she was a trance medium, you know. But I won't mention that joke about going to a seance and right about the medium, about the woman that was running it laughing. And so I hit her because I always like to strike a happy medium. It's a terrible joke. I bet the show, yeah. Sebastian Moran. Hello, Sebastian. Education in Victorian times may have been better. I don't know for sure. I think they have always brainwashed people. You're right there, Sebastian. But you see, I'm old enough to remember the First World War generation. They were very old when I was young. But they had beautiful copper plate writing. And they could add up. They're all good at mathematics. Or sums, as they call it, or what it is. And there was an old boy that lived next door to where I used to live. And he was like a walking computer. My dad was as well. If you wanted to add up, he was quicker than a calculator. Go and just add it up immediately. We're not as quick as that, and because they've
got all the technology.
Yeah, and they didn't have pocket calculators. You know, quite amazing. But then we got here. Paul Green heard the CIA spent over $700 million in the late 70s on remote viewing research. Yes. And as I think you've seen them on YouTube, these films that the Soviets did of these women and blokes separating, what was it now? Something in water, I think it was, colours or something. It's quite incredible. But again, it could have been fake photography. We don't know. Right, Rick Allen. One of the 4 fundamental forces of the universe is electromagnetism. So the universe is literally designed for
EM
the
encounters.
Yes, well, the electric universe, I think, is very logical. You know, and we've got here. What's it? I understand piss taking is not exactly a believable story.
Well, I believe it. I believe it, Luz.
Yes, I believe it as well. Now, that's how the paranormal works. So no one believes you. Yes,
Yeah.
you've got a good point there.
Yeah.
You've got a very, very good point there. Well, it's a bit like, you see, I often wonder whether UFOs are actually ghosts of something from our future. Because we always think ghosts are from the past, but could they be from the future?
Yeah. Fair point. You just
We
don't know. We don't know.
Now,
We knew everything. We wouldn't be sat here now, would we?
Well, precisely. I do believe, though, that there are entities, evil entities, that get into people. I believe you, Lulz. Don't worry. We also have a train tunnel underneath us. That's Blank Wall that's got that haunted house. And Rick Allen says, F from Lulz, I believe. Yeah, I believe you as well. Yes,
Me
I
too.
believe, you know,
Me
because
too.
I think that there'd be no reason for you to waking up. That's an interesting thing. And I think that when you see something or have an experience like that mirror coming off the wall, it's. I mean, I know that Colin, his paranormal research, I think might be online now. He had some incredible experiences with things knocking on doors and things like that. And you know, it's. What gets me is these hairy-ass scientists that say, "Oh no, that's because of this happening and because of that happening."
That couldn't possibly happen.
Yeah, so like Rendlesham Forest. Now, Rendlesham Forest didn't happen. That was a CIA thing. And they made out it was to do with UFOs. No, it wasn't. They was actually hiding all the nuclear missiles there.
Right.
Yes, that's apparently what it was. Anyway, Deborah, this is Kat Holsworth. Have you still got your Christmas decorations up there?
No, my shelves with my things on.
No, actually, I've just taken down my, I better not say the word, where is it? My decorations. And I'm just putting the Ukrainian ones up. But I think I got, but I think I got to put them back up again because they might be back. Yes. And what I actually call the old wearers, that was devised by academics' ritual stupidity epidemic.
Ask for short.
Yes, that's right. Yes. And I was where am I? Oh yes, I think we all were. Yes, I was yes, definitely. Yes. Right, let's get back into chat and then we'll sort of wind up. Right, it says 3 a.m. I won't come out of the boat, and we've got. Oh, Deb, she believes you, loves it.
Yeah. She's lovely.
Yeah, lovely, isn't she? Nothing, just banging on the roof. I thought it was my solar panels, so I jammed them, but still got banging. Something wants me to come out of the boat.
Don't come out of the boat.
Whatever you do, don't get out of the boat. No.
Stay on the boat.
I'm just wondering though, whether it's a boat. I mean, is it a steel boat, steel hulled boat, or a timber one? Because the old ones were timber, the newer ones are steel. It's probably steel, but it's weird, isn't it? Because I think people in the 17th century and 18th century knew more about this than we do now. We've lost it.
Yeah.
The science religion's taken over.
Definitely.
But what is it? Okay, I'm on your own. Was it on your own tonight? I'm not looking forward to leaving the I'll hang out because I'm alone then. We're not alone. You got all us with us, haven't you? You know. So,
Yeah, but that's what I'm on about. Don't want to leave banging out here.
I don't blame you. Bloody hell.
No, I don't.
That is really weird. Hang on. It's just opposite some empty boats. Now, could it be some spirit from that one of those empty boats?
Possibly.
I'll tell you something else. That was there was some housing being built. This was years ago where we used to live, and one of the trenches where they're digging the footings caved in and killed someone. And my mother, at the exact time, heard dogs around the area giving out the death howl. Oh!
Yeah.
She said it was creepy.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. One after other, they gave out the death howl. Yes. Yeah. Now, was it? Barry Wickens' Facebook is spiritual. They keep shadow banning me.
Yeah.
Hang on. There's someone doing there's some cheeky sod doing an advert here as ADB. Maybe look into types of spiritual protection or crystals. I wonder where you could go for that. Yes, there's
I'd get a trail cam and put it on somewhere on the boat, on the outside of the boat.
Good idea. That's a good idea.
Yes. See if you catch anything.
That's right. So you go to Haley's Crystals, the Crystal Boutique. See, hang on, it's on here somewhere. Crystal Boutique. Where the bloody hell is it? I've lost it. Oh, here it is.
Where?
Here it is. See.
Yes.
Free advert. What do you think? 6 fog bobs for this advert?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, 5 or 6 fog bobs.
Yeah. Fuck them all notes. Here we go. So there we go. That's nice. Now we got here Rick Allen. So I'm interested to find out the hauntings of Cedars Park because I've got a
Yeah, somebody mentioned that a while ago.
And I knew that it was Lowell's. These things are very random. That's right. And I bet you, Lowell's, if loads of people came over to your boat, nothing would happen because that's the way they do. They go for one person only. You know.
Yes, target one person.
Yes, that's right. We've got Michelle Salisbury. Hello, Michelle. Evening, Debs, Chris, and everyone. Yes, Chris, subscribing is free, but the humor. Oh, isn't that nice? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Michelle. She lives down the road to me. Hey, Cooey.
She's all right. No, Kim's put Cedars is definitely haunted on a Sunday.
Oh yes, it's where we meet there, isn't it? Yeah. Well, somebody's passed. There's like a little room where we meet. See, because if you stand outside, excuse my language, you're going to get frozen up your arse over the last couple of weeks. So we go in this little room, this thing in Cedars, and some old boy passed her and said, "That used to be a lavatory." I said, "Well, you still use it if you like, but I don't think people inside there would like it." Now, I was Aunt Sally. She's putting a plug in for Mal. Oh, hang on. I highly recommend Mal's shop. It's great in there. I didn't want to leave. That reminds me. I've got to put an advert on for Mal's, haven't I?
Get it on.
Get it on there.
Get it on.
Hang on. Bring it on. Now, I hope I get the right one. Where is it? I've got loads of stuff here. Where the hell's his advert? Oh, hang on. Abby advert. Here it is. And also the yoga. So, here we go. See you after the bake, and the lady be coming around the popcorns and all that, you know.
Yeah, chalk ices.
Come to Abbey Health Foods for competitively priced vitamins, minerals, etc., plus free advice. And remember, free delivery within 6 feet of the Abbey Health Food counter, subject to availability, of course. Vitamins and minerals can be posted throughout the United Kingdom, post-free, with orders over £35, subject to change, of course. Miles, the proprietor, is a qualified nutritionist, herbalist and acupuncturist. The main questions regarding acupuncture is, do you feel a prick? Well, I guess you may feel a little stupid. When phoning Abbey Health Foods, please remember to tell them you saw their advert on this show. So telephone 01992 650014. That's 01992 650014. Hello, if you don't want to meet people like this, dressed in leotards and acting strangely, or if you don't want people that do things like this, then why not go along to Yoga Hearts? You can see the website just here, advertised at the bottom of the page, for jolly nice people, or telephone 07463 021 512. And remember to tell Vicky, who runs the class, where you saw this advert. Thank you very much. Hey,
Well played.
Let's face
Yes.
it, these London advertising executives, they must be really sort of worrying now, because
I think they should be.
that quality, you know, you don't get that, that sort of stuff, do you?
No. Top notch.
Top notch it is. Actually, we got Aunt Sally recommending Miles. All right, so checks in the post to Miles, is it?
Yeah.
Right, we got here. So yes, it is definitely altered. Yes, and now let's have a look around here. We got here. I'll scream until I'm sick.
I'm thick.
I'm thick. You know,
Scream until I'm thick.
thick. Was a bit like that. Was it Vomit Art? Have you seen it? As a woman that goes around, drinks something, and pukes up over a canvas, and people say, "Oh, isn't that marvelous?" Put it on their wall.
I'll pay 2 million for that. Then they bang me eating on. Would you want to live in that room?
Cool.
No.
Was like Lady Gaga. She came on and puked up over her. I suppose they paid me enough. I'll piss over them or shit over them.
Yeah. Whatever works.
Lady Gaga. I mean, yes.
Oh. Let's look at the poll again. No, we're still on 73 for yes, 27% for no.
Yes, because they were pretty bright. But when you look at it, they were very disciplined as well. They had self-discipline, and that's what's not taught now. Because that kid that visited my sister's house, that kid is probably a civil servant now.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at who's that twat we had? Well, Boris. Well, he got a spot, little bastard, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
all the same.
Yeah. Now we got here Sebastian Moran. That was very interesting, Deb. I have had a similar thing happen to me. Well done, the team, with the 2 or 3 creatures incident. Yes. We'll have to get you back on, mate, because we're going to do a paranormal special soon. So that's quite interesting. And now it says here, perhaps that was the inspiration for the character. Missed you there, sorry. Oh, hang on, we got that singer from the 70s. Lindsay D. That's who it was. Save me. That one.
Yeah.
Thanks, sugar.
Never talked to her.
Yeah, I didn't really go much on her. But I always remember in that record shop, I was the only one in there. And they were trying to promote a song. And I thought she was top of the list. And she'd just gone and lost it. And she was standing there. So, you know, she'd had Happy Charm sequence. And I walked in. And I didn't even recognise her. I was like, I'm looking through the records, you know, and looked up. I thought, I was going to do Paul. Looked up. She sort of looked at me and I say, look, I'm famous. And I went, walked off.
Yeah.
Really pissed off. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Specsavers. Oh, hang on. Last Boat was asked about Gee-Nom-Eee. Well, I already explained it. You have to go back to the first bit.
No, I think it was when you said, what do you think it means? And he said, genome.
Genome. Oh, yes. That's right. Genome. Yes. Emmon said a lot of people were educated in schools set up by societies for skilled workers, such as weavers, in the 19th century. Well, that's where the term Nobby Clark came from, because they had to have people working telegraph offices were clerks, and
Yeah.
got a few of the working class. And because they became a little bit middle class, they became snobs. And that's where the word knobby clerk came from, because the clerks were sort of, you know. But now it says here, in Victorian times, they taught Latin, stopped in schools in the 1980s. We never learned Latin when I was at school.
All we had at school was French. Didn't even have German.
Yes, and I wanted to learn German, and all they had this French, and I don't really like. Well, I'm sure there's very nice French people. I don't really like the French language very much. That's right. And do you know who taught us French? A Cockney. So it's called Blarney S'il play. And so, but the French, you see, I speak Cockney French fluently, and I'm sure the French people take the piss because they go, you know, what's he talking about? Huh? You know, bonjour, mate. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right, and we got here. Emmons says, I was thinking genome. That would. Oh, that's the same as Lusbo. That word brings to mind virology to me, but not in a context that's fit for YouTube. Yes, I'd agree. Yeah, yes. Now it says here, Kath Holsworth. Well, I think the US in the Soviet Union started with the Bolsheviks.
The Bolsheviks.
That's correct. Yes. My granddad got dragged off by the Bolsheviks. It certainly made his eyes water.
That's what you're going to say, yeah. Painful, that.
And did you know that those who ran the Russian Revolution weren't Russian? No. And they were educated in America.
Yes.
So here we go. Yes. And we got here, Emin, they still teach Greek and Latin in Italians' high schools. Do they really? Well, I think my school did to education what myxomatosis did to rabbits, really.
Yeah.
It's sort of,
I think mine did it all.
All I wanted to do is get out the door, you know. Now, and this is a very interesting one. The education system was subverted by the Frankfurt School. That's right, cultural Marxism. That's right, because Mr. H booted them out in the 1930s, I think it was, early 30s. Yes. And where did they go to? America. And they carried on from there on. And that's how we got these sort of leading communists like Saul Alinsky, who wrote a book called Rules for Radicals and dedicated it to the devil. And he was an out and out communist, Marxist. And David Cameron, there's a recording of him which has been taken off of YouTube and taken off the Conservative Party website, where David Cameron was praising Saul Alinsky.
All right.
And you know who else was actually believed in the Saul Alinsky principles? Obama, because he praised Saul Alinsky. But Rules for Radicals, he said that you've got to actually wear suits and infiltrate. And that's exactly right. And it said Jackson Pollock, that's right, was founded by the CIA. I haven't got hardline evidence of it, but I believe Andy Warhol was.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try and find some evidence, because how these people, and as Osborne says, Pollocks. Yes, I agree there. Do you remember that Foster's advert where he's looking around and he's looking at this modern art? He's called blimey, God's truth. And he says, "Oh, this is a terrible painting, isn't it?" The bloke says, "Matthew Pollocks." He said, "I agree with it there, Sport."
Yeah, I remember that.
Cleverly done.
Oh, the polls changed. The polls changed.
Yes.
Was education better in Victoria times? 75% are saying yes, 25% are saying no.
Oh. Well, I had one about the moon. Was it the moon landing? No, hang on. What was it I had last week?
Hoax. Was the moon landing a hoax?
Was it a hoax? And YouTube took it down. So I looked on it. I thought, I wonder how many people are voting. The bastards took it down.
I voted
on the day that you're going to do the show. That's why the bastards took it down. I like that. What's this? Atonal jazz was part of the cultural warfare too. Or was that the sort of jazz Hammond that sounds like a seagull being throttled?
Yeah. Yeah, no actual music to it.
No. Did you know Dave Brubeck, who
Yes.
I think he's American? Now he did Take 5. Do you
Take
know
5, yeah.
that weird beat? He had recordings of heartbeats with people with irregular heartbeats, and that was someone with a hole in the heart. That do 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 boom boom do dum do dum. That was someone with an irregular heartbeat. And that's how he got. Yeah, that was bloody clever. I have to admit, that really was.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with you there, Deb. I just do not get anything abstract.
No.
You know,
like I said to you before, art to me is comfortable. The hair wearing and all that sort of stuff. Not all this squares on a piece of paper shit.
There was a bloke in American that did drawings and paintings. You would think they're photographs. They're so brilliant.
Yeah.
And that to me is art.
Yeah.
You look at what the Egyptians did with this fine art, Venus and things like that. I mean, there are fine artists. There was a girl singing on YouTube, young girl, Shabum, which was an old record from the 50s, I think it was, but it's catchy. Yeah. And she's a brilliant singer. But you don't hear anything of her. I mean, you hear Lady Gaga with flashing, and that's another thing. Did you know your subconscious? There's a lot of subliminal strips in her videos. Don't look at them because it doesn't give your time for your brain for it to sink in. So it's boom, 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 boom. That's done for a reason. Yeah. That is, that just says
brainwashing.
Just like modern art, Damien Hirst, Tracy. Oh, don't talk to me about Tracy Emin. Banksy, all agents. Yeah. I agree with you. Because quite honestly, Tracy Emin, an unmade bed. Well, sorry.
Yeah. No.
But then who buys that art?
Exactly. What for? Just no.
They nicked all the hippies by criminalising cannabis. Sort of. Yes. But I think you'd have to ask a few high up people in. I'm not sure I could say this because I might get done. No, I better not.
Yes.
But there's a very, shall we say, there was a American president that didn't inhale. I think he knows quite a lot about that.
Yeah. Oh, we've gone up. 76% saying yes, 24% saying no. Yes.
Now it says here, it says Banksy stole his style from French guy called Rat or Sonnery. So he's 76, so it's gone up. The Victorians were better.
Yes.
Yeah. But, I wonder if Banksy's done support what's name. It's only a matter of time, and if not, yes.
Yeah.
I agree, Lowellsboat. Yeah. Is a pistol. Yes, it is.
Definitely.
But yes. Now let's have a look here. Oh, here we are. We got here. New Age Cat Holdsworth. New Sea Age was CIA UN Spaghetti Alphabet Agency promotion. Yeah. That's right. Because when you look at these things, look at the films. They financed apparently the film industry, where it showed how nasty us settlers, white settlers, were in America to those nice, gentle, loving Indians.
Yes.
Not quite like that, because the Indians were not all, admittedly, all the tribes, but many of the tribes were out and out savages. And that very nice film, was it Wolves? What was it? Something with Wolves?
Dancing with Wolves.
Dancing with Wolves. When the bloke rides into the Indian reservation, he would have been bloody poleaxed by then. Yeah. They used to torture people for days. They taught an art in torturing other tribes. So bloody savages. And all this lovely stuff like, do you know the hippie ear candles? Not the hoppy ear candle.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Hoppy Tribe. It was invented by hippies in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is the Dreamcatcher. That's another new one. sort of, it's also hey, but it's all this sort of like romantic image, but no, it weren't all like that, you
No.
know. And I know that a lot of bad things happened. Up, we've absolutely decimated the buffalo, which they actually needed to, and we starved a lot of them to death. We did germ warfare, didn't we? By putting
Yeah.
having blankets they gave that was laced with what was it now? Some nasty disease.
Yeah.
And lots of things like that. Yes, they were bad, but it's not quite because General Custer could actually speak the Indian language, and he was a leading expert on their culture. So there's lots of things that we're not. The truth is not quite,
Yeah.
Right. Now, this is interesting. Emmons says, I think the CIA is behind half the well-known names in the protest group: Robert Malone, David Martin, Stu Peters, Anthony Patch.
Don't know much about them.
No. Now we go straight down here, and Helen, that was Helen Duncan. That's Sebastian's actually said that. Yes. Now we got here. I was thinking of Old Mother Shipton. I think she was a lot earlier. Yes, Old Mother Shipton, because the trouble is, and talking of that, I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, but I'm hoping to get a chap on here from, I think it's called Sundlanders, and they are a group in South Africa who do prepping. They've been prepping for ages, and what they don't know about prepping is not worth knowing. And they actually work on there's a chap called Nicolaus von Van something Berg, and he actually accurately predicted the future in the 1920s.
Right.
Now, where you've got Old Mother Shipton, it's all sort of, there will be fire over the river, and then you can interpret it any way you want. This bloke said, spot on, there's going to be a black man running America, there'll be a black man running South Africa, and there'll be a president with a quiff, which was Trump. And he said that World War III will start. Nicholas von Rains something, I can't remember the name, but he's very, very interesting, this chap. I'm hoping to get him on. I haven't that's in the pipeline. But he said that this chap who saw the future said that World War III will begin with Russia invading Turkey.
Right.
Which is interesting. And when you look at the map, the only place into the Black Sea is the Dardanelles. And Turkey, who's a member of NATO, controls either side, controlled the Dardanelles. So effectively, the Russian fleet is trapped in the Black Sea. Could happen. Hope it doesn't. But,
right, possibly.
So I'll put the shits up everybody now, this is an interesting one. Ancient Ruby, soldier came through to parents, yet no one knew other than Helen. That's right. Helen Duncan. No, it was a naval bloke who got killed. And they were coming through to her and saying what happened, and she was telling them, But now we got here the Inquisition has had new life breathed into it by Pope Francis. Reconciliation is what it's called now. Interesting. That's interesting. Thanks, Sean. Today, the first day of school is the last day of childhood.
Yeah, definitely.
Sean, I was dragged off. I was quite happy. I was dragged off in this horrible building. That was my first day at school. I almost pissed myself with shock. Excuse my language. And I think I crapped myself. Ralph Winter said her conviction led to the introduction of the Fraudulent Mediums Act of 1951. I didn't know. Thanks, Ralph, mate. That's great. Thank you very much.
I remember that. Well, I don't actually remember it, but I've read about that.
Now, this is interesting. The Pope invoked the Fatima prophecies. That's another program. That's another interest. That's an interesting subject. Recently, I heard, I think it was something to do with Russia, typical of this globalist Pope. The Fatima prophecies, wasn't that down in France somewhere? I
Yeah.
believe. This is off the top of my memory. I could be wrong. Flat Earth says, I am paranormal.
Yeah, I like that.
Now we got here. I encountered something paranormal here a year ago. This is Evan or so, and I thought it was laughed off. I'm terribly sorry if I did. I'm over it now though. It's forgotten what it was even. So yes, it can have quite a shocking effect. That mirror certainly put the what's it's up me. It certainly did. You come off the wall. Now we got here. Yes, Flat Earth. Jesus will protect you. Simple. Okay. You've got here. I wonder if aliens are beings that can go in between. This is one of my theories. Physical world and the astral realms, or something like that. That is my theory. I think that all these little green men and that don't come from outer space, because if they're that advanced, they wouldn't come in little tin boxes, would they, or spinning tops? No, they would come. They'll just appear, and that would be it, you know. But now we've got Louise Wilcox. In fact, we'll have to wind up soon. I've not been chatting tonight because I'm painting again. Oh, really? But it's been interesting. Thanks, everyone. Now it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Keep smiling. Yes. So.
Oh, we will.
Yes. What is it? Are you doing it in the Pollock style, or what are you? What are you painting?
It on.
Yeah. Now.
I think she said she was glossing. Like I hate glossing. I think she said she was glossing last week.
I don't like painting very much. I don't believe in a death howl. Don't you, Aunt Sally? I'm an experienced dog owner. I have 3 now, but I've had 5 before. When dogs howl, they are calling one of their pack.
I've heard about the death howl loads of times, and it's always when somebody's died. So it's either a really strange coincidence or there's something in it.
Well, perhaps when we get all these traitors together and we start, dealing with them, that is because as psychopaths and paedophiles, they found a cure for it. It's a little piece of lead inserted just behind the ear, administered by Smith & Wesson.
Works a treat.
That's right. And we could get some dogs along and see if they give the howl. That'd be a scientific, be good for schools, wouldn't it? So we've got Tony here,
Scientific project.
Yes. Any death howl? No. It'd be, be sort of, children need to sort of do these scientific experiments. It'd be
they do, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm joking.
Yeah, just having a laugh.
Well, I think we better wind up now.
Yeah, because I'm wriggling and shuffling now. My back's going.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really.
No, it's all right. It's not your fault. My dodgy back.
Oh, it's horrible if you've got a dodgy back. Oh, a hot water bottle as hot as you can tolerate it.
Last time I did that, I ended up with a massive blister on the bottom of my back.
It does work.
Yeah, it does.
But you need to go along to Miles, don't you? You put his needles.
I do, yeah. Get his.
Yeah.
Go see Miles for his prick.
I was going to say you get a prick from Miles, but no, I better not say that. But from his, what do you call it, acupuncture and that.
Acupuncture.
But, yes. People, do you know, our audience have got rude minds, haven't they? I just innocent things like that. And instantly,
I don't know who encourages them. I really don't.
I just don't know, no. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
And remember to ding the little bell and give us a thumbs up. Most important, give us the thumbs up and subscribe, please, if you haven't already subscribed. Thank you very much for joining us. Join us next week. It's Easter next week, isn't it? I think. So
Easter Monday.
Easter Monday, where we'll have a surprise guest on. It's a surprise for bleeding guest as well, because I don't know.
Yeah. You're fine.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thanks, Deb. And
Thank you.
Deb and I will definitely be back next week with the mystery guest and a few more. And good luck, John, with your book. And remember, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh. And good night.
Good night.